Today, I want you guys to see something I've always tried to let people know and understand, because I'm on the ground. I live in different places. I see different living conditions and I experience real life, and I ask around because I ask a lot of questions. I know the conditions in Hillbrow. I know the conditions in Uvel. I know the conditions in Marshalltown, Johannesburg, CBD, Newtown, Fordsburg. I know the conditions people are living under. And trust me when I tell you that majority of the hijacked buildings in South Africa are hijacked by South Africans, usually some taxi bosses or some Zulu guys. Or if it's not, it's less buildings that are hijacked by foreigners. Trust me when I tell you. And these buildings, they're not occupied by just foreigners. These buildings are occupied by our own South Africans. If you don't believe me, I want you guys to see they were evicting people, and majority of the people who were evicted were South Africans. Watch here.
The city of Johannesburg is encouraging residents to help identify those who charge people to live in hijacked buildings. Human Settlements MMC Mlungisi Mabaso says they want hijackers to be arrested. People have been removed from the the buildings after an order was obtained. Newsroom Africa's Nobile Madlala has this report.
Braamfontein in downtown Johannesburg was busy with trucks loading the belongings of the moth building's residents. According to the city, the evacuation was to prevent what occurred in the Usindiso building when 73 people lost their lives after a fire broke out. The city acknowledged they owned the building, but they couldn't access it for years, leading to deplorable conditions.
When we tried to gain access into the building for us to do the maintenance and manage the building, then our officials were not allowed to get inside until we approached the coast. Then it was when after the coast then granted us an order for us to access the building. But when we go to the building, we then identified that the building was beyond repair. There were illegal structures that were erected. There are illegal dumpings. There were water leaks everywhere.
The city of Johannesburg is estimated to have upwards of 200 buildings that have allegedly been illegally occupied or hijacked. Those buildings are currently being investigated by Group Forensics and Investigation Services together with SAPS. The recent obtained evacuation orders for these 9 buildings are specifically for those that the city says are hijacked properties and deemed inhabitable for human occupation.
So we have asked that those that got information, they must assist us. They need to write to make affidavits so that we take those affidavits to the police for us to prosecute all these criminals that they were extorting our people here.
Residents argue otherwise.
Ayinto besikhalela beyisimple uhulumeni akeze phambi kwethu akhulume nabantu sinembuzo omningi sinembuzo yokuthi ungasebenzi yena uzokwenza kanjani.
The Inner City Resource Center says the move was not communicated properly.
Or communicate with people in time, because of speculations from October saying we are moving you, but they don't know where to go because they haven't even went and viewed those properties that they are being moved to.
You just watched, right? But it's downtown Johannesburg. That means it has to be Dronsfontein if it's downtown Johannesburg. If not Dronsfontein, kule site le la ngasemaboneng. That means that's where this building, I know this building. I'm just trying to let you know when they say downtown, what they mean. Downtown Maboneng, downtown Dronsfontein. Between the two, that's downtown Johannesburg. That's downtown CBD, I mean. So you just saw, right? They were evicting people from these hijacked buildings. And I don't buy the story that this guy who is talking on behalf of the people who are evicting, I don't buy it when he says these people. Why couldn't he say who are these criminals who our people who allow our people to live in these buildings? He knows very well it's South Africans. Maybe he's scared to name them because maybe they're gonna put a target on his head. Maybe he knows them. He knows them. It's South Africans who are hijacking these buildings. Usually some taxi bosses or but it's South Africans. Trust me, it's a few buildings that are hijacked by foreigners. It's very few. It's not as the media likes to tell you or your favorite politicians like to tell you. When it comes to occupation, of these flats. I always tell people that whatever it is you are speaking or protesting against when it comes to foreigners, you must be ready for your own South Africans to be affected by whatever it is you're protesting against. Whether it's plaza shops, be ready for even South Africans' plaza shops to be closed because some of them don't comply. If you want plaza shops to be suspended, be ready for South Africans' plaza shops and street vendors to also be suspended together with the foreigners. If you want people to go and get papers, be ready for South Africans to also go up and down and go register their businesses, because majority of South African businesses are not registered. If it's about evicting people in hijacked buildings, be ready for our own South Africans to also be evicted, because these buildings are not just occupied by foreigners. That's all I'm saying. Because you are living in delusion. You see things in the media. You're not on the ground. You're not going to Hillbrow asking questions. You're not going to Drumfontein. You're not going to Fordsburg. Remember in Fordsburg, and near the plaza, you see the plaza in Fordsburg, the Fordsburg Plaza. So there by the plaza, way back, I think it was around 2012 or 2011, there was a flat next to Car Gardens. There's a flat called Car Gardens. That flat Car Gardens is owned by a company called JHC, Johannesburg Housing Company. So there was a flat next to the Car Gardens flat, and that flat was called Cope. If you know this, you would know. There was a flat called Cope. It was occupied by South Africans, and that flat was not owned by anyone. People were staying there for free until JHC went to the municipality and the government, and they decided to buy that property. They bought it. JHC now owns Car Gardens and the new establishment. The new establishment, after the people were evicted from Cope, is now called Umdeni Gardens. When you're going to Plaza, you'll see this other flat. It's like a complex, 3-story complex. Different colors, yellow, purple, green. It's painted like that. And then the other flat, Car Gardens, Yenzong face brick. That flat, they evicted millions and millions, if not thousands, maybe millions. I'm over exaggerating. Thousands and thousands of our very own South Africans from that flat that was called Cope by the Red Ant. The Red Ant came and evicted all of those people, and there was South Africans occupying those places. It was not foreigners. Yes, of course, because it's Fordsburg, there will be a few Indians, Pakistanis, because that's their area, but majority was black South Africans until JHC had to come and buy that flat. Now it's called Umdeni Gardens. Plenty of flats in Jozi. It's South Africans who are staying in hijacked buildings. You don't stay in Jozi if you're gonna disagree with this. You don't stay in Hillbrow if you're gonna disagree with this. You're just seeing things on the media. You don't see things in real life. Go on the ground. You'll understand what we're telling you. Look here, the media. Look at that Gogo who they were interviewing. That's a South African Xhosa Gogo. She's even worried now. Where is she gonna go with the children? She doesn't have money to take her children to school, to rent a flat. Where are these people gonna go? There's no alternative from the government, and these are South Africans. You must believe me. If you go against foreigners, be ready that our own South Africans will also feel the pain. They will feel it, and they will feel it very hard. They will feel it very hard because this is our country, and this is South African people's country. So imagine you are feeling the same pain foreigners are feeling. The government is gonna make you feel the same pain that the foreigners are feeling, but it's your own country. Imagine, because hey, foreigners must go. Yes, foreigners must go if they're disobeying the law. But if you are saying, hey, hijacked buildings must be closed, be ready that your own South Africans will sleep in the street homeless. Be ready for that, because most people are not ready for these discussions. They just want to stay in the surface level. But it is what it is. Thank you very much.